started our run 1st of August. We had August to September, and we were pretty good ways back, and we started winning ball games that we shouldn't win. In typical Seattle fashion, people started leaving the game before it was over. They don't do that anymore. And there was a vote whether to build a stadium for Seattle, and the vote got turned down. And then there was another vote after we did what we did, and luckily for Seattle, and I'm very proud to have been a part of that keeping baseball in the Northwest, keeping it there in Seattle. But we had a pretty good run, and I think I was pitcher of the month in September, which is almost October. But I don't know. I kind of pride myself in playing my best baseball at the end.
And first Mariners team, really historic, first Mariners team to make the postseason. The motto was refuse to lose, and that's exactly what the team meant. And as you mentioned, Norm, it had a larger implications when you're talking about was refuse to lose the franchise at the time. Right. As a player, what did you remember about it? Was almost like the movie Major League with what was going on outside the clubhouse. About that, the vote came on September 19th, and at the time, it was about a third were in favor and about 2/3 were against. And here were you guys right in the middle of it. Were you able to tune all that out in terms of what was going on and just stay focused and on the business at hand of trying to win that division?
Yes and no. We stayed focused enough to win the division. We stayed focused enough to do what we had to do on the baseball field. We had numerous meetings with the good guys that were the upper level management of Seattle that wanted to keep baseball in Seattle, and were doing everything they could to keep it there. And there were some great people in that front office that really put it all out there to keep Seattle as a baseball town. And ultimately, through their work and through us winning ball games in such dramatic fashion and going to the playoffs, ultimately they had another vote where they expanded. I think they expanded the area. The team stayed there. Eventually the Kingdome got torn down, and they've got a beautiful field, as pretty as anything you'll ever see in Safeco Field.
Great ballpark.
It's a wonderful place to play.
It really is great ballpark. And with your October exploits, you had a big save that the Yankees series. What your memories about that postseason? A big save in Game 3 of that Yankee series for you, where you factored in pretty prominently.
I remember I threw a whole bunch of innings in that series.
No lack of work.
No, there was no lack of work. I mean, it was a 5-game series, and I think I threw 7 or 9 innings in the series, and I think I pitched 4 out of 5 games. I think I threw 3 or 4 innings in our first, maybe 3 innings in our first game. I do remember going to New York and losing the first 2 and leaving the stadium, and somebody asked Lou if he was worried about losing 2. He said, "No, we're going back home. We're going to win 3 at home." And sure enough, we did. That stadium and that city at that time was magical. We had refused to lose. If you were ever in that ballpark when all that was going on, they had the chant, "Go Mariners." Bill the Beer Man, who's passed on, he's a folk hero in Seattle because he's the one that really started the Go on one side of the stadium and the Mariners on the other side. I knew a lot of players on a lot of teams, pretty good friends with a lot of them. Not during the game. I hated them during the game.
Right. Between the lines.
I wanted to see him get hit by a truck during the game. But we were really had a lot of people that were really good friends, and they said, "Man, that's one of the most incredible things that make your hair stand up when you came into Seattle to play us the last 2 months of that 95 season."
Correct.
That the Seahawks football games are loud. That all started in the Kingdome. That started with the fans that came to Mariners games in the Kingdome. That's where the loudness came, and they're loud.
And they were loud. They were heard.
They are loud.
And similarities as you look back, and once again, when we talked last week, I said, "Gee, you're missing not 1 but 2 significant anniversaries. 30 years since the Nasty Boys in '90, and 25 refused to lose." Parallels. This will be like if you had the college blue book right now. Compare and contrast, if you will, 90 and 95 similarities between the two teams, or were they vastly different, but ended up kind of in the same place?
Vastly the same.
Vastly
The same.
Yep.
In the fact that the majority of the guys on both of those teams cared about one thing, and it wasn't their stats, it wasn't how much they were getting paid, it wasn't where they were going or what they were doing. It was winning a ball game that night, and whatever they had to do once they got to the stadium to win a ball game that night. You know, what Doug Strange had to do one night, he's hit a grand slam to win a game for us in '95. What Alex Diaz had to do is come in and pick up the pieces when Junior broke his arm in center field. What multiple guys did that year on that team was teamwork, just like it was in Cincinnati when we won it in Cincinnati. You know, if we would have been a little bit healthier, if it would not have taken everything we had to get to the playoffs down the stretch, don't know what we could have done. I think we played a Yankees team that I think we beat them on adrenaline. And man, we ran into Cleveland next, and we were kind of out of gas, and they were kind of better. So that's a bad combination.
Right. Exactly.
It's
lethal.
When you have to use your number one guy, Randy, in a playoff, a one-game playoff to get to the playoffs, and then he has to come in relief out of the bullpen because the bullpen's so gassed to win that series. By the time we get to Cleveland, we're out of gas, and they're better than us, and that's a horrible combination.
He came in to pick up you, I think, and that was his one relief appearance. Yeah,
yes, he did. Yeah, and did a great job of it. Yeah,
it did. Another trivia question there for you, Norm. I was going to say, who's the only guy he came in for you?
Yeah,
and an emotional end. I got to ask you, as an athlete, and as an athlete that has had his, obviously you still do have your eyes on the prize and what the object of all these games are. As during the games,
only one.
Yeah, it did. There's only one.
Oh no, I think I know what you're going to ask. Are you talking about when the fans stayed and we came out?
Boy, I'll tell you, you get 3 degrees and you're using them all today.
Only one better than that.
Yep.
That was at that time, that was the most phenomenal thing I had ever experienced in sports.
Nobody left. Curtain call.
No, nobody left. None of the players left. We were down. We were pissed that we lost. We knew we were out of gas. We knew Cleveland was better. We tipped our hats to them. We came to the clubhouse and took a deep breath. And, kind of let some time go by to let it sink in. And Lou goes, man, nobody's left. We're like, the hell are you talking about? They always leave. They left in the 7th inning, and they got pissed that on their way home, the traffic was bad, and they had to listen to Doug Strange hit a grand slam in the 11th to win it. They always leave. He's like, they're still there.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. They're still there. And
wow.
When we went out, I don't know if anybody had left or if more people had come in. I don't know.
Yeah. Open the doors. Yeah.
But the stadium was full, and they were standing and they were cheering, and that was really cool. Really cool.